Okay, I guess we're alive right now. Just wanted to thank you so much for joining us. We're going to chat today briefly about ways that you can thrive and not just survive during these crazy times. This is definitely unprecedented, and for a lot of individuals, it can be very scary, um, somewhat anxiety ridden, and you can feel alone and frustrated. And I want you to know that that's totally normal. My name is Megan Garmers with the Bridal Masterclass, and our goal is really to help wedding businesses thrive regardless of whatever times you're living in. And so we want to be able to provide resources and really actionable steps that you can take on a regular basis, whether you're dealing with global issues or if it's just a regular business day for you. So these are things that we want you to keep in mind. We're here to help. So, of course, if you have questions, please reach out and let us know. We're always here and happy to answer your questions for you. So, one of the things that I wanted to just jump right in and get started with are the top three things that you should remember so that you can thrive. When it comes to thriving, that is above and beyond what it takes to survive. And so, if you haven't already really planned out your business in terms of that survival aspect of your business, now is a great time to start. And so, make sure that when you are kind of planning this out, that you're revisiting all of the basics of your business. So that has to do with your why. Why do you have a business? Why do you serve the people you serve? Who is your ideal client? And why are they your ideal client? Really understanding what it is that you want to accomplish with your business, what those personal goals are, what your professional goals are, and remembering that, especially during times like this is a great time to really take a minute and think through what your business goals are. So, what are your goals for the next month? What about the next quarter, the next year? What are those goals long term that you are really wanting to do? One of the questions that we had received in advance had to do with pivoting. And so, really understanding how, when, and why to pivot your business. And I will tell you firsthand, having been in the industry for over 20 years and seeing many different things occur, one of which business started out of the 2001 recession. Clearly seeing things 9/11 that happened, lots of changes from that. The mortgage crisis in 2007-8 and how that affected the wedding industry. There are so many things that really have changed the way that we do business. And COVID-19 coronavirus is definitely not new in the sense that it is something that forces us, all of us, to change the way that we do business as usual. So really thinking about how you can use this to better your business is a smart and really forward-thinking way that you can really learn how to thrive despite whatever is going on right now. And so thinking about, in terms of pivoting, what is it that you'd be able to do? So where are their needs? What needs do you recognize, and what needs can you solve? What solutions can you create? As a business owner, you're a problem solver, and so really thinking about what are those problems and how do you create a solution for those problems. Um, it's important also to remember that at the end of the day, you do have an existing business. And so understanding if you are going to pivot, how it is that you're going to be pivoting and how essentially the rest of your business that is still intact and needing to be tended to, how you're going to be handling that. So really think through all of those things. One thing that we all have right now is time. And so I would urge you and challenge you to take advantage of that one resource that oftentimes we complain we don't have enough of. And so really take that time and use that to your advantage. So the other thing in terms of planning, right? Making sure that you're flexible. There are so many things going on right now, and perhaps you set up your business in a way that isn't necessarily conducive to handling all the things that you're dealing with right now. This is a great time to be able to really reevaluate and think through whether it's your agreements, your contracts, whether it's the way that you have employees or independent contractors, your expenses, both monthly and annual expenses that you might have for your business. Perhaps it's different services or products that you offer. Whatever it is, really thinking through, number one, what are you doing right now? What existing contracts and clients do you have that you serve? And then also going forward, like we were talking about with pivoting, what is it that you can do to be flexible? And I will say this, that first and foremost, your business is there to serve. And so, yes, it's there to provide an income for you. And yes, it's there to provide, fulfillment in terms of your creative outlet. And your productivity, but really, again, thinking through what it is that that you're going to need to do to be flexible and serve people who are, essentially willing to patronize your business. So think through that. Think through how you can be flexible and lead with compassion. One of our previous posts for Instagram was talking about compassion and how if we lead with compassion, we won't go wrong. And so, yes, your agreements are important, and yes, your business structure is important, and your operations and your expenses, all of those things are very important. But most importantly is really making sure that you continue to keep in mind the people that you're serving, the things that they're going through, despite what other things that you're going through, clearly a million and one things that you have to deal with, but really thinking through those things on their behalf and trying to be as open and flexible and creative, like I was saying before, being a problem solver for them is a way that you can position yourself as a professional, but also as a leader so that you can thrive. The second thing is really important, and a lot of individuals talk about self-care. Self-care, they might talk about taking time for yourself and maybe, enjoying that glass of wine or that piece of cake or watching, binging on Netflix or, doing yoga or whatever it is that self-care looks like to different people. But I will say this, it's really important to make sure that in the wave of self-care that you are first thinking about what that looks like for you. Self-care to one person is not going to be the same as self-care to someone else. So make sure that if self-care to you has to do with a massage and taking 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and thinking through what it is that you need to do so that you are mentally prepared. Maybe it's, going on a walk with your significant other, with your pet, with your children. What is it that is self-care to you? And remember that self-care isn't just about taking care of yourself, it's really about filling your bucket. And this, again, is different for everyone. For some people, especially for extroverts, it means that they're around other people, having conversations, laughing, doing things with other people. They gain energy. They fill their bucket from being with other human beings, right? That's great. For someone who's an introvert, that's not going to fill your bucket. That's going to stress you out. It's going to drain you because you don't fill your bucket that way. Maybe you fill your bucket by being alone and reading. Maybe it's watching a TV show or a movie. Maybe it's enjoying, a bubble bath or a glass of wine, right? Understanding what those things look like to you is definitely important. And lastly, when it comes to self-care, making sure that when you do have self-care, that it's meant to really benefit you, not just in the immediate, but in the long term. It's so easy to think about whatever immediate gratification and call that self-care. So that might be shopping, it might be maybe a decadent dessert. If you do that every day, you're going to have other issues that you're going to have to deal with later on. Same thing if you are, using some retail therapy as your self-care, pretty soon you're going to have other bills mounting expenses that are going to be stressing you out even more. So make sure that your self-care is manageable, it's sustainable, and it's going to be something that's going to be helping you not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. Those are things that you really need to focus on and know who you are before you can just jump into the I'm doing my self-care moment bandwagon. So take time and really think about who you are first before you decide that you're ready to just do some self-care. Lastly, make sure that it is tempting. Everything's on sale right now. So retail therapy is definitely a real thing. But I will say this, make sure that you're you're being frugal and thoughtful about those purchases. You know, if it's something that you really do need and it is on sale, there's no harm in getting that. But if you're doing that on a regular basis of things that you don't need, that could be a problem, especially when you have a closet full of clothing and perhaps no toilet paper. You know, that could be a problem. Lastly, I just want you guys to really think about how you can reach out. So it's important. I mean, we did this poll on our Instagram, and half of everyone who answered, 50% said that they are feeling alone right now, and the other 50% said that they're not. So it's important, even if someone looks like they're doing fine on the outside, reach out, ask how they're doing, and whether it's COVID-19 coronavirus, or it's someone who has perhaps just lost someone they loved, or lost their job, or maybe they're going through a tough time, and maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's the loss of a relationship. These are all things that people have regardless of health concerns that are going on right now. And so I want you to be conscious and thoughtful about how you can reach out. And while it's important to reach out, and the easiest thing to do is just to ask someone how they're doing, really think through what it is that they might be going through at that moment individually, and ask a very pointed question. So asking them, how are you doing with your business? Asking them, do you have a lot of cancellations? Asking them, are most of your couples rescheduling, right? Asking your couples, how's everything going with the planning? Are your other vendors being helpful? Is it an issue for rescheduling? Is everyone going to be able to join for the new date? Is there anything I can do to be helpful with? Do you need other vendors that I can suggest for you? These are all very specific ways that you can be helpful, and for your clients, and for your frienders, to know that you're there, not just kind of in spirit, but that you're there in real life, that you're there, you're willing, ready, able to help. Those are things that are important. It's the same way that if you know of someone who's older, the elderly right now, if you can offer to get groceries, if like Daughter of Design is doing, so Annie Lee, if you are able to help organize, you have strengths and talents, and whatever it is that you're great at, this is a time for you to shine, and this is a time for you to be of use and service, to not just the people who are around you, but perhaps people who are further 2, 3, 4 circles removed from you. And so if there's something that you can be helpful with, I don't doubt that everyone wants to be helpful. It definitely helps with your own personal mental health as well, and allows you to really feel like you have a handle, and are really productive during this time when it's easy to just be reactive. Lastly, I'm going to say it's really important to make sure that you have a schedule. It is so easy right now to roll out of bed, just kind of keep scrolling through the 24-hour newsfeed and not thinking about what is coming next, and just kind of reacting to everything that's going through your newsfeed, whether it's on TV, whether it's through your Instagram or Facebook. I would challenge you to turn that off. So designate times when you're checking it, just like you would in a normal everyday life situation. So remember that schedule allows you to stay focused and productive, and not be sucked in to be reactive against whatever it is that you're hearing, that you're seeing. There are a lot of things going on right now, and the most important thing is for you to be at your best so that you can thrive and not just survive. Lastly, there are a couple other things that people had questions about, and so we definitely want to talk about those. One of them being, obviously, whether it's yourself or others that you employ as independent contractors or employees, in terms of your payroll, in terms of rent, utilities, other expenses. I will definitely say that there are a lot of things that are being discussed on the table right now within local and state and federal governments when it comes to aid packages. And so I would definitely suggest that you look at your city your city's website and also your state. And then I would say maybe once a day, check in, usually at the end of the day, to see if there are any new aid packages that have passed the House and Senate. It's really important to know, number one, if you are renting or what your mortgage is in terms of your lease, if you have a lease agreement for your rent or with your mortgage company, that if you are afraid you're not going to be able to make your payment, that you, number one, look at that agreement first and see what the notice of eviction is, and two, then have that conversation. So there are a lot of different things being said right now in terms of, especially for New York City, allowing tenants to be late with their rent, and so that's important. There's also talk about checks to be sent out to everyone so that everyone can essentially kind of stay afloat and be able to keep their living expenses, keep their lights on. A lot of utility companies are essentially freezing accounts, and so in a good way. So freezing account being that if you're not able to make the payment, they're not going to shut off your lights, your water, anything like that. So definitely check on all of those things yourself to really make sure that the companies that serve you for your basic needs, that you know what's going on and what they're allowing and what they're not allowing. Also, for any credit cards, banks, checking, things like that. Again, there are a lot of different allowances that they're providing right now. So talking to them, call them up, ask them what their policies are and what you can do to, whether it's freezing a payment, whether it's taking out a loan. There's a lot of different opportunities for loans that are coming up, some of which are available now and some of which will be available in the future. Some are going to be through SBA, so Small Business Association. If you go onto their website, you're able to apply for a COVID-19 disaster loan for small businesses. You need to check your county to make sure that it is eligible. But then you can go through the application process online. The same for banks. There are some banks that are starting to, and later on, provided that aid packages pass, you'll be able to also access those as well. And so you'll be able to talk to your bank and do a business loan through them to help cover things like payroll expenses, normal monthly expenses that you might have for your business. So those are things that I would definitely encourage you to look at, check into, talk to your bank, look online for your local city, county, state, and then also for the federal aid package opportunities. And lastly, I would say that one of the things that people have made a comment about in terms of running a business and having, especially for weddings and events, having now 2 dates that you are holding or providing services for, prepping for. I would definitely say that compassion should be the first thing that you lead with when it comes to what you're able to do and how you're able to be creative with that. I would definitely suggest that you do that, whether that is in your original business plan and structure for your operations or it's not. I would also say that this is a great time to revisit the way that you operate. So how do you pay your employees or your contractors? Maybe this is a great time to really think through that structure and restructure. If you have employees, maybe taking them to independent contractors. If you're able to get a loan to help cover payroll, perhaps keeping them on payroll. So there's a lot of different things that you need to think about. One, for your business and your expenses, the people that you serve, whether that's your clients or those who are counting on employment from you. So really thinking through those things, and then also thinking through what it is that you're going to need to do going forward. Because I will tell you this, having been in business for 20 years, it's something that regardless of any global pandemic or other issue, things happen. And so we've had couples before where they've called off their wedding, or because of an illness or a death in the family that they've had to reschedule. And so, again, lead with love. It's really important, especially during this time, because there are so many different individuals that have personal stories that you know nothing about. And so to be able to lead with love and compassion, and to understand that you might not know the full story, yeah, that's really important. So if you're there, you're looking out for their best interests, and you're also helping them understand that, you know, that as much as you like to provide everything for free, that you do have expenses and individuals that you are taking care of, as your employees and your contractors. That's important as well. That you want to make sure that they're able to, to provide for their families. Generally speaking, those individuals are going to be compassionate towards you as well. And so when you come together, under the umbrella of love and compassion, it's really amazing to see how a lot of that anxiety and frustration and fear can melt away, and can really show what an amazing business person that you are. And I will tell you this, that it not only helps for that one client, but when it comes to word of mouth referrals, when it comes to leaving a review, those are things that shine through for them. And so remember that at the end of the day, when you run a business well, and you really are a business boss, you're there to run the business. Um, your clients are going to see that, and they're going to take notice, and they're going to appreciate that. And just like any other day that you do that, it's going to lead to better business in the future, and that does lead to thriving. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, if you have other questions, please let us know. We're here to help. And lastly, I did want to let everyone know that if you have specific questions about your business and you're not sure where to turn, please DM us. Let us know. Happy to help. We are doing what we can in terms of individual consulting. These are difficult times, and so fully recognize that. We want to be able to help. So if you do have a question, you want to reach out, we're happy to help you and help however it is that we can. And, of course, as I mentioned, waiving normal consultation fees for that. So reach out, let us know what we can do to help you. And separately but related, we're going to be trying to do more Facebook Lives and webinars to answer questions and hopefully be helpful, because a lot of you have the same questions. And so we want to be able to make sure that information is available to all of you as well. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.